Drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em. If he reach, then I'll pop 'em. Street sweeper, I'll wash 'em. Homicide, come and chalk 'em. Drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll lock 'em. Up 'em.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Alexander Usyk and Canelo Alvarez defend Anthony Joshua's post-fight speech after his rematch with Alexander Usyk. So we're going to take a look at what happened. Let's go to screen. Share. All right. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go to Usyk's quotes. It says, Usyk's victory meant he retained his WBA, WBO, and IBF titles, just like you, Trill. They don't write the IBF. After initially beating Joshua in London last September, and he has now said the British fighter's response was just emotional. I cannot say his behavior was a disgrace. It was just emotional, Usyk said. I don't think he wanted to offend me. I think he was just overwhelmed. It was too much to take, and he just started ranting. But I don't have any rancor towards him, and I want to tell people that they shouldn't hold it against him. He didn't do anything bad. Emotions took over him, and he just spurted those words. But later he told me it was okay. Don't judge him for that. Instead, he needs support and reassurance. Usyk 35 insisted Joshua still has a future in the top level of boxing. Of course he does. Why not? What nonsense. Okay, he has lost. So what? It's not lethal. It's just a small respite to do some homework. He also said his highly anticipated fight against Fury won't happen before the end of the year. It won't happen this year, that's for sure, Usyk said. I'm totally healthy and don't have any injuries, but I have old traumas which have resurfaced and which need to be treated. I will need up to 2 months to recuperate. So that's what Usyk had to say. All right, now we're going to go to what Canelo had to say. And this appears courtesy of Boxing Social. And what Canelo said is right here. This was getting to the Canelo quotes. You never know what happened in his head. You can't judge people because maybe for him, it's really hard to take that loss. And you need to respect that because you have never been in that position. Canelo went on to say, only he knows what happened, but he's going to come back stronger. And I really believe in that. That's what Canelo had to say about Anthony Joshua. So stop sharing. All right. I'm going to turn it over to you, Trill Dollar Bill. What's your reaction to what Usyk said, and what's your reaction to what Canelo had to say?
Respectfully. Duh. What I said, I stand on what I said. It happens, man. Like this is what y'all want. How did we come to this? You know, this is what we wanted our fight. It happens. You dedicate yourself to something. This is what you want from this young man. This man wakes up. We was just talking off air. You know what I'm saying? Me and G, we was kicking it, and we was talking about, it's hard. Once you get all them M's, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And you got all those millions that still want to get up to get punched in the face. This kid got millions and millions of dollars, and he still got his heart and passion in this. He's still trying to be great. He's still trying to learn. You can see the emotion that he really, really wanted this. And then he shows a little bit, and we want to cut him down for all the things that we wish other fighters would be like. We wish other fighters would take this sport serious and not care about the money and get in there and fight whoever and fight the best fighters back to back, right? That's what we want. Now we get a kid to do it and we want to clown him. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. I just don't get it, man. And it's just I know I seen it what it was. It was just a young man frustrated. Yeah, he made a mistake. I'm sure he wish he didn't do it. But it happens. Nobody is perfect. You know, you can't throw stones if you live in the. And it was the perfect man. The guy, as to remember this old story that I learned. I'm sorry, I gotta show my age. You know, from Bible study. You know, I remember the old story. You know, where they wanted to stone the young lady. You know, and you know the guys. He said to the young man, he said, you know what? Sure, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? You can throw the rock at her, go stone her, because she did something. You know, he said, I ain't going to get into what she did, but you know, she did something.
You know what she did.
Yeah, you know what she did. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, all right, cool. He said, I agree with y'all. All y'all fellas out here, you all going to stone her. I dig it. We can all stone her, man. But anybody can, whoever has not sinned before, he throw the first stone. You know what I'm saying? And nobody can throw no stones because they all have sinned before.
Let he without sin
cast the first stone. And they couldn't do it. You know, so everybody out there being so judgmental, yeah, you could be judgmental if you ain't never had no.
Now, can I get in there?
You know, get in there, brother.
Now we got to talk about how there's other books out there that said how that happened. Like, so she did what she did. We're not going to get in.
We're not going to be judgmental.
She did what she did.
She did what she did.
And so then it was, let he without sin cast the first stone. And she got hit with a rock. And then God looked up and said, Mom. Jesus looked up and said, Mom.
What are you doing? Yeah, like I was saying, man, you know, it gives the young man the benefit of the doubt, man, just like the other champs are doing, man. And especially the guy that he was in the ring with. He don't feel like it was an issue, so we shouldn't take nothing of it too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that Joshua feels bad, but also I can give him a pass on this. This ain't it happens.
All right. G.
Yeah, I mean, Usyk and Canelo just sounded like the segment that we did about the same situation. So
they watch Boxing Bros, G.
I ain't gonna say all that, but it's
I'm gonna say it for you.
But you know, it's just come on, man. We understand the immense pressure that AJ was under for that fight. You know, everything was riding on his performance, and you know, he just fell short. So it just is what it is. And to be honest with you, I already forgot that outburst, to keep it 100. Like, you know, so I think most of the boxing fans are going to move beyond this. I'm like, the only people that's going to still be hating on AJ will probably already hating on AJ prior to this performance. So it's like the haters are going to hate, you know, but for most human beings who understand, who are working professionals, who could relate, if you're at you're head of your game, and you know, like your whole team is riding on your performance, your execution, and then you just make a mistake somehow, and maybe you get emotional, you do a little outburst, you insult one of your coworkers, or you know, like you get into it with one of your customers or whatever. Like, if you're an elite person, right, the best of the best when it comes to performance, regardless if you're an athlete, an employee, an entrepreneur, a CEO, whatever position that you have where people rely on you and you're feeling that pressure. A lot of men go through this, a lot of stress and everything like that. Like, even me, I go through it at times. You know, I could see a mistake. Like, that was an extreme mistake, I must say. But nonetheless, I think most men, if you was in AJ's shoes at that moment, you will crumble and you will do something similar or worse. So I think we should provide that grace that Canelo and Usyk has provided for AJ.
TV.
Nah, I agree with both of Canelo and Usyk. You know, it was just like it was that moment. Everything was setting in for AJ, and you know, you shouldn't like crucify the man for it. And you know, it's like if you're not in that position, it's easy to like speak on it. It's easy to talk down on him. It's easy to kick a man when he's down. But you know, AJ's human. AJ was going through so much. The emotions were high for him, and you know, the way the way he handled it, it was unexpected. But I said it last time. I'm gonna say it again. We've seen worse moments where fighters overreacted to a loss, and honestly, AJ just had I beat that boy moment, and you know, Only way is we'll forget about it, but he has to show he's bounced back. He's really he's that he can put that behind him.
Yo, also let me add, I forgot to say this. I remember was it 2008 when the market crashed? Look at all of those guys who killed themselves because they lost everything in that crash. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Look at all of these kids. We live in Boston, right? In Boston, we have all it's like the higher ed, the college mecca here, right? You know how many students commit suicide when they get their first B? Like, literally, these are kids that get like 4.2 GPAs in high school. They go off to college, they get their first B, and they off themselves. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about that. It's like pressure, you know what I mean? Like family pressure, like the pressure that they put on themselves, you know, cultural pressure. There's so much thing that plays into their success. And if they don't reach that success, people just can't handle it. So it's like, we got to think about that when AJ did his little outburst. Well, it wasn't that little, but you know what I'm saying? That outburst is common. It actually is. It's actually common, but people just go, oh, AJ's perfect. So a perfect person can't do something that's what's average.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like when I was younger in middle school, I had this one teacher who used to think that like he was like a life coach and everything. I'm grateful for him because he taught me a lot of great lessons like in 1 year. But one of the things he taught me was the number one cause of stress. I said, well, what do you think it is? And I said, I don't know. He said, change of schedule. And I said, that can't be true. I'm in middle school, so I had nowhere to go. But then once I got older, I'm like, yo, I could see it, like change the schedule. You're on the way, this and that. Things happen. I could see how like that could cause you a lot of stress. Then he said, you know, it's another major cause of stress. Finding out you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. Think of every time in your life you found out you weren't good enough for something. Was it you wrote a paper and the teacher, you thought you did great on this paper and then you got that C+. And then you go to the teacher and the teacher's like, yo, your punctuation, you messed up here. This is a, incomplete sentence, or this is a run-on sentence. They just went in on you. How'd you feel taking that criticism? Did you take it well? Some people handle criticism well, some people don't. I know some people, like G was just saying, who were ready to quit college. The first time it was anonymous. The first time the teacher put their paper on the screen to point out a mistake and to suggest, no one knew that the person wrote it. They just used it to point out a mistake, and the person was ready to quit because the person thought, I'm not good enough. Off one mistake in college, mind you. So imagine like every mistake you make is magnified. We try to come up with numerous examples, but like imagine someone standing over your shoulder, watching everything you do, and every time you mess up, they tell you you're not good enough. The type of fear it creates. And then imagine in the moment actually coming up short and validating all the people who told you weren't good enough. He felt like he needed to defend himself. And when I listened to it again, I don't think it was that he was trying to take credit away from Usyk. He was trying to say, I'm great. I just lost to someone special. Don't say I'm not good because he's special. Don't say I'm not good because I lost to a better boxer, a more skilled boxer. That's what he was trying to say. Like, yeah, like I lost, but Usyk's skills are, next level. That's what he was trying to say. So you look at Usyk now. What did Usyk say? I don't think he was trying to disrespect me. I just think he was emotional. Usyk understands. So whose moment was taken away from him? Usyk's moment. Who's the one who should be up in arms about what happened? Usyk. Who's the one who's defending Anthony Joshua? Usyk. So if Usyk's defending AJ, if Usyk's not upset about it, if Usyk says he doesn't feel like he was being disrespected, and if Usyk said, and this is a quote from Usyk, he didn't do anything bad. If Usyk says he didn't do anything bad, what you so mad about? What you so mad about? Clearly, Usyk's forgiving him. In fact, Usyk is like, hey, man, I get it. Usyk understands. You know why? Because he does that. That's what he does. He's like, I do this, so I get it. He understood. He doesn't have a problem with it. So why do people have a problem with it? If Usyk's okay with it, I'm okay with it. You know who else is someone who knows what it's like to have a lot of pressure on your shoulders? Canelo. What did Canelo say? You shouldn't talk about it if you've never been in his shoes before. So you got Usyk and Canelo defending Anthony Joshua. Like Trill said at the beginning, I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Most of the people, like G said, who find an issue with this never liked AJ from the beginning. And I'm going to close with saying this. I know that there's sportsmanship. I know this. Boxing isn't a soccer game. Boxing isn't a basketball game. Boxing isn't even a football game. When you lose a fight, some people never even have a fight, so they don't know what it's like to lose a fight. When you lose a fight, it's very difficult to just be like, okay, he was a better man. Let me go shake his hand. For some people, it's very difficult, especially if you feel like you won. A lot of things go into it. So you can talk about Adrian Broner. I beat that boy, right? Which is funny, but you're watching someone who's finding out they're not good enough, right? You think
Lopez, same thing.
Yep. Deontay Wilder in his fight with Fury, he walks out the ring in third fight, and people say, "Oh, he's bad sportsmanship." Yo, he just lost 2 times in a row to the same guy. He now has to come to grips with the fact that he wasn't good enough. And he gave it his all. Like, worked the hardest he's ever worked. Went in there and wasn't good enough. You know,
that boy took a beating.
Yeah. Took a beating trying to win.
Really?
Like, put on all that mash and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, was clearly concussed and still couldn't get no grace from anybody. AJ loses, put it all on the line.
Lost all that weight.
Can't finds out he's not good enough. In that moment, AJ finds out I am not good enough, and y'all just want him to be hunky-dory. Peaches and cream. He respects Usyk. He knows Usyk is special, but he's understanding like, damn, I failed. And if you never failed at anything that required you investing so much time, energy, hours upon hours, just going at this thing, and then to fail it, then you can't talk. You can't talk because you don't know what it feels like. You invested all that time, you feel like it's for nothing, but it really isn't for nothing, but it feels that way. So everybody who wants to talk trash about Anthony Joshua and all these other fighters, they look at us and you say, oh, well, y'all aren't as hard. Well, we're hard on the fighter when we need to be hard on the fighter. But these guys didn't do anything wrong. They're coping with understanding that they came up short in something that they invested and they really cared about. And to me, like Trill said, I actually think that's a good thing.
And also, I just want to add, salute to Lomachenko, because when Lomachenko was in the ring when that was happening, he was trying to get AJ to calm down. You know what I'm saying? Because Lomachenko also was there. He lost all of them. You know what I mean? Like, he had the WBC belt and all them other stuff. He was supposed to go for undisputed for 135. He lost everything. You know what I'm saying? So he understood what AJ was going through. So like, oh, bro, just relax. You know what I mean? It ain't that serious, blah, blah, blah. So salute to these men who are like at the peak, and then they fall short and they can still see, the comparisons with AJ and be like, yo, AJ, man, it's all right. We all been there. You'll bounce back. You know what I'm saying? That's love right there, as opposed to like people that just, thumb thugging on social media, hating on them.
AJ a better man than me. AJ a better man than me. I done lost fights and still try to go after the person, though. I
was about to say that, but that's in the streets. You know how this, the 5 losses I had to redeem them.
Yo.
He had to fight me every time I seen him.
Every time.
You know what I mean? No,
Yo.
but listen, for real, like even Vasily, when he lost to Tio, people were clowning him. He ended up having to get like surgery or something, and people were like, oh, like he's making excuses and he doesn't deserve a rematch because he didn't have a rematch clause. And it's like, yo, bro, like sometimes, and I said, and I still believe he deserved a rematch against Tio. It was a close fight. He came on late. He lost his belts. He deserved a rematch. But like you said, G, I think like he's someone who can relate. And all these people who can relate are saying like, yo, lay off AJ. So what say you? Who, is what it is.
Lay off AJ. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.